Dr. Vicki.
Hey there.
Thanks for joining me today. Whew, wow, it's been a busy month so far for me. And we're just 3 days into it, are we? Two days.
Well, it's a pleasure being here, as always.
Well, thank you. I thought we would just start out by reminding people that they can also type in questions to you live today, right there somewhere in the interface to Zoom. You folks should see a little thing at the bottom there called Q&A. And that Q&A will allow you to immediately type in a question. We'll see it here on our screens. I monitor that as this goes along. I'm seeing some of the statements that some of you put in today. For example, Mike said, hello, I can hear you. This is webinar number 2 for me. I am not seeing the books on the screen. Oh, maybe I forgot to unpause while ago. I don't know what's been showing, but anyway, there we go. And then, several people have said, hi. Mike says, hi, Dr. Vicki. So, I guess they can hear us. That's a good thing, huh?
Absolutely.
Dr. Vicki, you said something to me, or maybe I read it in one of your websites or many books a few years back. I'll never forget this because you said to me, the physician's pain is your opportunity, meaning not just me as the founder of the company, but all of the people who join us as what we call business owners or licensees. This is like a franchise. So they do have an opportunity here because the doctors are in pain. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, sure. So doctors have a very different relationship with money than you do. Like when I was going through my training, we just simply didn't talk to patients about money because our sense was, well, the care patient gets should not be tied to their ability to pay. So we just didn't talk about it. And we didn't talk about it with patients. And then we really didn't talk about it in our lives. So we are not doing very well. A generation ago, a doctor could pretty much do anything and become wealthy. But that just is not true anymore. So there are lots of surveys done. In the pre-COVID world, half of doctors reported being behind in retirement. And now we've had additional economic pressures for reasons that we'll probably get into. And doctors have financial pain. And if you want to build a business, you always want to find somebody in pain and then help them. And so there is a huge opportunity right now to help doctors with one of their most fundamental issues, which is their money.
Yes, you wrote a book recently called The Myth of the Rich Doctor. And one of the quotes that I pulled out of that is, the fact that you were telling them that they could collect a whole lot more money if they just didn't leave all that money that's already been billed to the doctor, to the patients on the table. And you said this may be the fastest and easiest way to increase your cash flow, speaking to doctors. Why don't you elaborate a little bit on that? Why is it that doctors have such a problem with that?
Well, okay, so here is how doctors and hospitals make money. They see a patient, and then there is a procedure and diagnostic code associated with that. Those codes get sent off to the insurance companies. And then the insurance companies have a decision about what to do. Now, the cynics would say that the insurance companies want to hang on to their money for as long as possible. And so they've got an incentive to reject claims. And so the doctors get these rejected claims. And I can tell you, my CPA said to me, oh, this is great, rejected claims. You need a tax break. This is perfect. I just had a little funny thing happen just this week, Patrick. I got a bill from a hospital in Seattle that I haven't been in for almost 2 years now.
Wow.
Because with COVID, I'm not traveling, right? So I got a bill for $127. I thought, oh my God, has my identity been stolen? Like, what's going on here? And so I called the billing department, and it turns out that the insurance company had asked the hospital for a refund for a charge from, get this, January 2020. And they were now turning to me in January of 2022, asking me to pay that bill, which I just find mind blowing.
That is hard for me to wrap my brain around too. I did do some things back a couple of years ago that I'm still getting the bills for, and I thought I'd taken care of them, and I still get them. And then when I call them, they won't call me back, and it's just a madhouse in the doctor's office. I don't know how they keep up with all that.
I don't know either. But if you're going into this whole thing with this mindset, oh, I need a tax break, you don't necessarily get the neurons firing that say, wow, I've been struggling financially here. Maybe if I went back and collected what I was owed from the insurance company, I'd be in better shape.
Yes, we find that to be true. A lot of our folks who go through our training, our training is online. It's all virtual now. There's about 10 modules. They're about an hour and a half a piece. So, it's only about 15 hours of initial training. We call it initial because we've got a lot more training, of course, once people have gone through that. But that's the initial stuff that will give people enough information to get started and go out and get their first client. And this is a great industry to be in, isn't it? Because there's always something new to learn.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think there's a number of things that are really good about this industry. My heart kind of goes out for, people in the hospitality industry or restaurateurs who might have lost their businesses, but we will always need doctors. Doctors will always get paid one way or the other. So I think this is a real prudent industry to get involved with.
That's a good way to put it. I've always said that when people ask about the longevity of this business, of course, we've been doing it for 28 years. So now I'm pretty convinced that it's here forever. But as long as there are human beings that get sick, that go to the doctor's got to get paid by somebody, and somebody has to bill somebody for that doctor to get paid. So that's where our people come in. We're just in the perfect place. Now, a lot of doctors outsource their billing. Tell us about your experience with that when you were in private practice.
All right. So let me just tell you a little bit about my story, just so you understand doctors a little better. So I got my undergraduate degree. Then I was in graduate school for a while. I had a surgical emergency. So that's how I decided to go to medical school. So 4 years of medical school, 5 years of surgical residency, and then ta-da, I'm ready to go out and practice. Yeah. So I had joined another surgeon who had been a solo surgeon. He was getting older. He wanted somebody to share call and maybe not work so hard. So I came in and, nobody in residency ever talked about, well, like, how do you get paid? And I was curious, well, how do I get paid? How do I pay my mortgage? And so I started asking my partner's only employee, who's his business manager, about like, how does this whole thing work? And I was not there too long before she handed in her resignation. Now, she did everything. She did the scheduling, she did the billing, and it was sort of like, what are we gonna do? And so his wife says, how hard could billing be? I'll just take some time from my tennis game and come in and do the billing for you. And she did that for a week maybe, and decided that no, this was a lot more complicated. So fine, so we were gonna go out and look for a new person. In the meanwhile, we hired a temp who was just like the world's nicest lady. She'd go out into the waiting room and help the little old ladies fill out their paperwork. And we got a call from the temp agency saying they were really sorry, but they had sent us a convicted Medicare felon. She had already been involved with Medicare fraud. And so I thought about, her sitting out in the waiting room with these little old ladies in a new light. And the temp agency said to us, look, if you have any billing irregularities, just know that this could be part of it. But like, the billing was so out of control that who knew what was happening? And around that time, I was invited to join a multidisciplinary team at a different hospital they were launching this breast cancer clinic and I wanted to be a part. So I broke away and set up my own practice. And Patrick, the very first thing I decided was, I am not going to hire somebody to do my billing. I am going to put my billing in the hands of the experts, just like I put my taxes in the hands of the experts. And I think that was probably one of the best decisions I ever made.
You know, we hear that same story repeated from our business owners on a daily basis. Our support department gets those same types of comments that the doctors just did not realize. You know, they think that they're going to save money, I guess, by doing it in-house, and they have more control over it and so forth. But when they see our cloud-based system that allows them to look at any aspect of their practice anytime they want to from any device connected to the internet, they realize they can have control and save money, because we literally have figures that show that what they're spending now on their own staff, the overhead, the software, the upkeep, and so forth, that's way more expensive than doing it, outsourcing. Now, Mike has an interesting question here. He says, with COVID, are we seeing more teledoctors? How is that affecting the doctors' billings? So doctors have the ability, and they've had the ability, of course, to do telemedicine. It's just that the COVID just kind of basically caused everybody to kind of focus on that and find tools that would allow them to do that on a more regular basis. Now, we happen to know that there are insurance companies, of course, that pay for the telemedicine more and more every day, because I think that's what the future is to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I might just add my 2 cents, this technology has been around for years and years and years. The reason that more doctors and patients didn't use it was that there was no standard about how doctors would get paid. And doctors don't want to just give away their time, right? But with the COVID pandemic, insurance companies said, we will pay. Just launch it, we will pay. So there are a lot of doctors now who are just doing telemedicine visits. And another trend that we're seeing is that there are a fair number of doctors, nurses, ancillary people who are saying, look, I don't want to deal with this COVID stuff anymore. I'm just ready. So doctors are having a hard time, and hospitals too, staffing these positions. So what we are seeing now is that it makes a lot of sense on a number of different levels to outsource, because you might have a neurologist at home doing telemedicine. The office might not even be open, and then putting the billing in the hands of somebody who could also be at home doing this just makes a lot more sense today than it did 3 years ago.
That's a good way to look at it. The question is asked all the time to us here at our offices, how has COVID impacted the doctors' lives? Well, you just kind of touched on it right there. It has changed some of their lives completely. And now some of them are pretty lazy just working at home, on their computer. But hey.
I don't think that I would describe doctors as lazy, but if you had anyone like a mother or grandmother who needed like a hip replacement in 2020 or 2021, chances are pretty good, depending on where you lived, that procedure was put off. And the reason is that hospitals and clinics wanted to make sure that the demand for healthcare resources didn't exceed the supply. So these very sick patients needed ventilators. Every time I operated on a patient, there was a ventilator in the operating room. So the hospitals were saying, no, let's reserve those for COVID patients. So these elective cases are the engines that drive profitability of hospitals and clinics. So like the biggest employer here in the state of Minnesota, the Mayo Clinic, they were projecting a $3 billion loss for 2020.
Wow.
And there were a lot of doctors in private practice who sustained similar losses. Now we're in a situation, at least in Minnesota, where elective cases are being deferred again. And it's not because of the number of COVID patients. It's because of the availability of hospital workers. So I have a friend who is a pediatrician at a hospital in Wisconsin. She said they've got a new thing where like the executives are all like cleaning up rooms after patients. Like there's such crazy things that are happening right now. But anyway, a doctor might have a hard time finding somebody who they can employ to do this. And even when you do it, even if you get somebody, you know, what's their incentive for doing a good job and making sure that the doctor is collecting every penny? Like if they go to the doctor and say, look, we've got a 30% insurance rejection rate, they're a little concerned. Like, is the doctor going to think I'm not doing a good job? So they've not got any incentive to collect. And that's one of the things that I liked about outsourcing billing. It's sort of like we're all in the same game. You know, we've all got skin in the game here. So when she does better, that means that I'm collecting more money.
Well, that's right. And when you've got somebody that's a staff member inside of a doctor's office, of course, they don't have any real incentive to collect every single penny that they can, whereas our business owners get a percentage of all the money that's collected. And so, of course, they're motivated, you know, they're money motivated. I put this quote up here on the screen from our book that you and I wrote together, The New Thriving Medical Practice, because it has a great quote in there about rejections. Tell us a little bit about why doctors have a hard time wrapping their brain around the money aspect of their practice and not realizing that they could be leaving 30%, you know, on the table, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. So again, you know, in my small little practice, you know, my staff did pretty much everything. And she wasn't like a big independent thinker. So she didn't think to run reports about rejection rates or anything like that. It was really my outsourced biller who did that with and for me. And it was really interesting data. Like I saw that I was probably losing money every time I did an appendectomy on a Medicaid patient. And then there were some procedures that I really loved to do that paid more. So, you know, if you're not thinking about money, if your staff isn't thinking about money, if you've got a CPA telling you this is good, you know, you need tax write-offs, then it's not such a big thing. But if you're looking at it from a different perspective, like a lot of doctors are, hey, I have seen a reduction in my income. I am not real optimistic about when I'm going to return to pre-COVID rates. Like, what can I do to turn things around? Very few doctors even think about, well, maybe I should collect what I'm owed.
Yeah, maybe I should collect what I've actually already earned. And that's, of course, what our licensees focus in on. Now, I wanted to share this chart here because a lot of people, again, in their minds, they have no idea what it really does cost for a doctor to hire staff and keep all their software updated and so forth inside the office. As this one shows, even at 20 claims a day, which is low for a lot of offices, of course, at $100 per claim on average, collecting about, and of course, our licensees billing them 6% for that. Our licensees would be charging about $31,000 to do the billing for the doctor. That sounds like a lot of money until you look at the bottom line down here, which is what the doctor could be spending on all these hidden costs, I call them, to do that billing inside the office. And now again, $65,000 may not be a whole lot to some doctors, but that's a chunk of change to leave on the table. And so they can cut that in half by outsourcing it to, you know, people like our licensees. Okay, well, there's lots of questions coming in here. Let me see. Here's one here. Wow, I'm getting to where I have to zoom in on my screen to be able to read some text here. Let's see. This is from Simi. Says, hello, please kindly shed more light to the profit level for us as related to the telemedicines with virtual care under ABS medical billing business that I'm planning to venture into. That's something, Simi, I probably ought to address with you offline directly. There is a profit level, of course, for every person, but it's different because everybody has different work habits, different background, different training, and so forth. And I'll be glad to get into that. But overall, we found that our business owners can make $25,000 to $35,000 a year off of doing the billing just for one doctor. So it doesn't take a whole lot of clients to be able to make a pretty good living in this. Let's see what other slides I can share with us here and talk about. Oh, well, one of them was what we actually can make of the doctor. This has to do with profit. So maybe this kind of ties in with what Simi was asking here. But you'll notice that this particular doctor, had like a 25% rejection rate, which is pretty typical out there nowadays. We can bring that down to 2%. And so because of that, we have a spreadsheet that people can drop some numbers in once they get some information from the doctor's office. And it shows this particular doctor could increase their revenue, as you can see, by, $10,000 a month or $122,000 a year. That's nothing to sneeze at there, is it, Dr. Vicki?
It is not. And Patrick, I know that you're conservative. And so these are really conservative numbers. If you look at the mean incomes of doctors, and there's all sorts of surveys out there, probably Medscape is the best. What you will see is that, different specialties make different amounts. So the average income of an orthopedic surgeon is about $500,000 a year. Now that's after they've met their expenses. So what that means is they might be billing and collecting $800,000 to make $500,000. And if you are earning 6% of $800,000, somebody doing that billing could be earning more than a primary care doctor. So these incomes can be significant.
Yes, I was kind of shocked. Anybody who's not in the medical field, of course, thinks of that as, wow, somebody can actually make $500,000 as a doctor. No wonder they get into medicine. But that's the top level, like you said. A general practitioner might be only making, I think I read somewhere, $160,000 a year or something is, all they net, which again is a nice living, but it's not what they expected when they went to college and spent all that money to get that degree. Let's talk about our book, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always fun to talk about our books.
Dr. Vicki came up with the idea of having a book that we both were a part of. And so I was very happy to be an author with her in this book. This is called The New Thriving Medical Practice. And we actually can put your name on the cover of the book. You see down the bottom, it says Forward by Susan Smith. Well, that could be your name because we've actually written a forward that's very generic anyway. All it does is give you the opportunity to put your name and contact information right there at the end of the, there it is right there. There's an illustration. Your name is on the title page, of course. There's your forward by, that's your name there. And then your name and company name and contact information would be here on this page. Dr. Vicki, this is the most ingenious idea for marketing I've ever seen in my life. How in the world did you come up with this?
Well, Patrick, I know that it works. It works. Basically, giving away presents works. I've written some books for doctors that doctors love. I got invitations to go all over the United States. And I thought, well, if it's working so well for me and I want to help people engage doctors, doesn't it make sense to put a proven tool in the hands of somebody who wants to build a business relationship with doctors? I've been doing this for about a decade. This is probably the single most powerful marketing tool that I have developed.
Yes, it's been just marvelous for our licensees because, again, folks, what is more credible than having your name right there on the cover of a book that's written by a doctor? Now, they don't know me, but they see that MD after her name and know that this must be somebody who knows about the medical field. And since this book is all about helping doctors to thrive, right now is a perfect time for us to be using this book in the marketing. And it's just done wonders. As you can see, we teach our licensees to mark the book up, highlight certain passages, and put little
Ooh,
sticky
can we
notes
see
on
the
there.
slides? Can we
Yeah.
see the slides?
Oh, I'm sorry. Here I am talking away and nobody's even seeing my slides. Okay, let's see. I think I have to share this.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is. So as you can see, we figured out how to market this to doctors. Doctors don't necessarily have a time to read an entire book like this when it's given to them. But when they see these little sticky tabs and the highlights, I've had doctors say that they just went through and read all the highlights and said, you know what, I guess I need to talk to this person. And they'll call up our licensee and say, hey, can you come, talk to me about some of these things? I think I have a problem, but that's what it's for. It's just to start a conversation. We call it a door opener. It's a great door opener.
I call it a yummy treat. And the masters at influencing the purchasing choices of doctors of the pharmaceutical industry. And they know that starting a relationship by giving a doctor a gift is just a smart investment. It activates this law of reciprocity. I do something nice for you, you want to do something nice for me. So I think that's why books work really, really well.
Yeah, here's another one of Dr. Vicky's books, 10 Critical Questions for Physicians in Private Practice and the Single Choice that can help your practice to prosper and grow. Now, this is an electronic version of this book that we can actually customize for you as well. So you can use this in your online marketing, email marketing, and so forth. And she just keeps coming out with these. But listen, we cannot keep up. She is a prolific, you've heard that before, prolific writer. Here's one that she just completed last year with my son, Adam, who's the CEO, as I mentioned earlier. 9 ways doctors let money slip through their fingers and how a few simple ideas can guarantee private practice will thrive in today's post-pandemic world. Dr. Vicky, all of these are very relevant. You always make them fit exactly what's going on in the world today. And doctors are letting a lot of money slip through their fingers. All we want to do is help keep some of that in their hand, huh?
Absolutely.
Let's see. Omatayo says, what kinds of skills do you need to be successful here? I hadn't thought about that, Dr. Vicky, but people who actually start a business helping doctors, they don't really have to be a certified professional coder. We've already got that figured out because our system has all the codes built into it. But they do need to be, what should we say, people-oriented. They need to know how to connect with people in their community, because that's how we teach them to connect, is through other professionals who know doctors, referrals.
Yeah, so I can tell you what I looked for and how I looked for it. I wanted somebody that I could trust. I wanted somebody who was cut from the cloth of service. She would be dealing with money, or he, I don't mean to be sexist here. They were dealing with money, and so many doctors are worried about theft and fraud. I told you about my little Medicare story. I have a friend, her office manager stole almost her entire retirement account.
Oh my goodness.
And it was almost gone before she knew it. So doctors are really aware of their vulnerability, right? So I wanted somebody that I could trust. I wanted somebody who was detail oriented. And how did I find my person? I asked my buddies, hey, do you outsource your billing? Who does it for you? What do you think about this person? And when the same name kept on coming up, well, that's the person who went to the top of my list. So a great thing about doctors is they gossip kind of like teenage girls. And so once you become the go-to guy or go-to gal, word about you is going to be spread among doctors who naturally network together. And that is, I think, probably the best thing about working with doctors. You get your first couple of doctor clients, you absolutely delight them. You say, hey, guys, other doctors are where you were when we got started. Here, I've got a book you can give to them. And so you can just plant these seeds and they grow over time.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Even handing out these books or mailing the books out, as some of our licensees have done, gets the attention of the doctor, because nobody does that in today's world. These books sell for $24.95 on Amazon, but the doctor is giving this book as a gift, and our cost on them is less than $5 per copy. So somebody asked here, I think it was Mike, do you get these as a part of when we sign up with ABS? Yes, Mike, we give over 2,000 pieces of literature, including 15 of 3 different books that you can personalize and have your name put on there. Again, all inclusive in that licensing fee that I mentioned earlier. Here's a great quote here from Medical Economics, which is aimed directly at the doctors. It says, if you operate a medical practice, you should be outsourcing. Almost 80% of survey participants felt positive about outsourcing for your medical practice. It not only frees up your employees' time to work on the tasks that they were hired for, but it also unkinks your cash flow. You know, Dr. Vicki, we've seen people, I don't know if this was true in your case or not, but we've seen doctors who literally doubled their revenue by just handing this to somebody who's a professional, who's been trained to know how to get this money collected from the insurance companies and from Medicare. And our licensees don't ever pick up the phone to make any collection calls. We don't do anything. It's all automated, of course, but our collection rate is, like 98% of all the bills that are sent out are paid. That's unheard of in today's world.
Yeah. So Patrick, would it be okay if I got back to Mike's question here?
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
About the books. Okay.
Yeah.
So Patrick is not going to toot his horn, but I'm going to do it for him. And, whenever you're thinking about getting involved with a business venture, and that's probably why you're here, it's probably to assess, is there a real opportunity here? And am I going to be successful in it? So you always want to be really careful about whom you choose as a business partner, because you know that there are people out there who are not good, ethical, credible people, unfortunately, right? I just want to let you know that I've been working with Patrick it's longer than 7 years, Patrick. It's closer to 9 now.
Oh my goodness, I lose track.
I know. And so, over time, people will show you who they are, right? Patrick and his family and the ABS family are people who are truly committed to your success. We are always working together to think about, okay, what tools can we offer to be in the moment, to help our licensees in the moment be successful? So Patrick has made this investment to get me to co-author these books. I offer my financial advisors the opportunity to be a co-author, to write a foreword and afterword. I believe in value-based fees. So my fee for a financial advisor is $10,000. Why do I do that? Because I know what the lifetime value of a doctor-client is. I believe in value-based fees. So this is a fee that makes great sense. So ABS is the kind of organization that's going to just open up and offer you all of these proven ways of being successful. So anyway, and it's not just that you're going to get these things. It's they are always thinking about new ways to help you be successful. That's what I get up every morning asking, what can I do? And so now I've got these quizzes. You can go to your doctor with a quiz, because doctors love quizzes. So, we're always trying to get new things. We are always trying to meet the moment, and man, the moment has changed. So anyway, there you go, Mike.
Yes, and it's not just the books. We've actually got all sorts of other marketing materials that we've developed, professionally designed. For example, let me see if I can throw that up here on the screen too. Brochures, flyers, all sorts of postcards and greeting cards. We've got electronic versions of everything, of course, if you want to use social media to build your business. there's all sorts of tools. Again, Vicky's right. Behind the scenes, we pour a lot of our profits as a company back into developing these things. Now, let me tell you why. It's not just because I'm a good guy. It's because we make money on all those services. So I mentioned earlier some of the ancillary services that we have. Here's some of them here on your screen. These are services that we've added over the years because our licensees came to us and said, you know, Dr. Jones wants to know if you have something that would help him with, you know, the codes. So we came up with Code Right, which has certified professional coders that can help the doctors. Audit Guard to protect them from audits from Medicare. Quick Collect and Choice Pay to help to collect the money from the patients that they have. Auto Card to bring in more patients. We've got all these different services, and yes, we make a few pennies on all of these transactions, folks. That's why we don't have any renewal fees, no support fees, no upgrade fees on the software. You will never pay ABS another penny. In fact, I've done over 100 licensee interviews, and you can ask any of them, how much money have you given to ABS after you paid your initial license fee, and they'll tell you nothing. Now, Dr. Vicki, the questions always just start pouring in here towards the end. We've got just about 15 minutes here before the hour. So let me just get to a couple of these questions here. We'll jump back in to the discussion as we go. This is just Mike saying, wow, this has been really informative day. I'm truly impressed. Dr. Vicki completely hit it on the head. This is exactly why I asked the question. It's about relationships. This is set up really well. Thank you. Isn't that good to hear?
Oh, I'm so glad. And, you know, I know it's it feels like a self-serving thing for somebody on a webinar like this to say, look, this is a great opportunity. These are the great people to be involved with. I don't have any incentive to say that. I mean, believe me, I have lots of opportunities about what I will do with my time. And I make a conscious choice to save some of my bandwidth for ABS, because I think that they're doing important things. I am here to help doctors be more successful. I believe that what the ABS licensees do is really important. It's a critical part. And so that's why I continue my relationship with them. Oh, by the way, Patrick, I didn't tell you the good news.
What's that?
I've been invited to deliver the keynote address for Ed Slott.
What?
Yeah.
When is this?
It's going to be in October. I just spoke, and he was scheduled to speak next. So he was there, he heard me, and just hired me to come and deliver the keynote.
Now tell me more about that. What is this function?
Okay, so Ed Slott helps people lower their taxes. He's a CPA. He does a whole bunch of PBS specials.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Well, I knew you worked with financial planners all over the United States and have for a decade or more. That's amazing that they chose you to be the speaker, but they recognize again that you have a way of helping open the doors for financial planners to get in to see doctors. And of course, that's why I connected with you and partnered with you. Is I said, look, this lady's already figured it all out. I said, Adam, we've got to work with Dr. Vicki Ragnar because she's already figured out the pieces of the puzzle that it takes to market these services to doctors. Unlike anybody who starts this on their own would have, well, they wouldn't know how to compete with our licensees because of you.
Well, not just because of me. And again, this sounds self-promotional, but it is not. So the most influential person in a doctor's life is another doctor. So when you become an ABS licensee, it's sort of like you have me in your pocket. You know, it's not just you going out, you now have a relationship with a doctor.
That's
and
right.
That is really going to make you stand out.
It makes all the difference in the world. In fact, folks, Dr. Vicki said some nice things about me. Thank you, Dr. Vicki. You know, I feel the same way about you. I've never met anybody that's more giving than Dr. Vicki Ragnar. She actually came up with this idea and said, Patrick, why don't I introduce your new business owners, your new licensees to other doctors in their community? I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, I'll just write on my letterhead with my address at the bottom and my signature on it. I'll introduce your licensees to these people, because she said, I know enough about you and your ability to back these people up that no matter what happens, if they engage with the doctor, you're going to be there to help them be successful. So this is a wonderful letter that you came up with, Dr. Vicki. I think I've got another shot of it here that's just a little close up of it, but thank you for that. That has been wonderful. We put your name, your company name, in the text of the letter, and she's just basically introducing you to the doctors in your community. That is a huge hurdle. It's like a referral from another doctor.
Well, I'll tell you what else. Doctors get tons of mail, right? So it was my office manager's job to go through the mail and sort it. And I only wanted to get things that had to do with patient care. So, my office manager wanted to make me happy. And how could she make me unhappy? She could give me stuff I didn't want to see or not tell me about stuff that I wanted to see, right?
Right.
So no letter from a doctor ever got recycled, right? If something came from a doctor, I needed to see it. So that was sort of the thinking behind this letter, because a note from you might just get recycled, but a note from a doctor is going to get delivered to a doctor's desk, and a package with a book is also going to get delivered to a doctor's desk.
I started to say, I've had licensees even during this COVID tell me that they've mailed these books out, with a little personal note, of course, inside. But you put a book inside of a larger envelope and address it to the doctor, it's going to get put on the doctor's desk, because anybody who gets it in the mail can feel that there's something in there and they have no idea what it is. So we teach our licensees how to get past the gatekeeper, so to speak, and get that right on the doctor's desk. If we can get that in the hands of the doctor, believe me, I had one licensee who sent out 3 of these in 1 week, and 2 doctors called him up and said, I'd like to talk to you about this. So it's been very, very good door opener. Let's see, here's some more questions that have come in. This one is, this is just an anonymous attendee that says, I'll review the website over the weekend. Just had a chance to sign in. Well, folks, we encourage that. We tell people, look, there's a lot of scams we know out there on the internet in today's world. Take your time. We've been here 28 years. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here next week doing one of these webinars just like this to inform you and educate you, and all at no cost. As you see, we don't do a lot of selling on our webinars. We try to educate you and make you the one who wants to go and research it enough to where you want to get involved with us. So that's always up to you. But we give you tools like these books to be able to do that. Hey, this anonymous person also says, wow, that's a great way to introduce us to the community. Thank you so much. Can't wait to get started. So now, Dr. Vicki, I'm going to let you go, because I know you said you had something at the top of the hour. Are there any last words that you want to share with the people about your experience working with our licensees and helping them to get in front of doctors?
Yes. So this is not easy, right?
No.
Do you remember that movie, The Replacements? And the Gene Hackman character says to the quarterback, it's kind of rough out there. And he says, well, that's why girls don't play the game. And so, not everyone has the constitution to do this, right? Not everyone is going to be successful, but there is a path to success, and you got to know it. It's like you need to know all the digits of a telephone number to successfully make the call. You need to know all of these little elements in order to do this. So the people who do the work are successful. And there is a path to do it. We have experience helping people on this path, so you can do it. I also just want to, put on my hat as an entrepreneur and say, I've launched lots of businesses in my career, and not all of them have been successful. And so whenever I think about something new I want to do or a new campaign, I ask myself questions. Am I passionate about this? Is there a market for this? And is that market going to last? Is it recession proof? And can I get this done? And so if, you might be taking a look at other businesses, and I just invite you to keep those questions in your back pocket. Because, I know Patrick wants you to be successful. I want you to be successful. We all want you to make really good choices that are good fits for you. And if you decide to become an ABS licensee, I will look forward to working with you. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. We've got a lot of pre-recorded training videos from Dr. Vicki that she's done for our licensees on all sorts of topics. So if you think you would enjoy that, join us and we'll open up our entire library of materials to you to share with what she's done already. It's just amazing what she keeps coming up with. Thank you, Dr. Vicki, for your time today. Appreciate you being on here. I'll just kind of wrap it up here with a few slides showing people what they can do to take the next step.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. Well, let's start with our guarantee, because she just talked about the fact that we want you to be successful, but we also know that in every business, there are people who don't put in the effort and are not successful. So we try to be upfront and honest with everybody. But the best way I knew to come up with a solution to that was just to come up with a guarantee that you see right here. We're the only medical billing training company that I know of that offers a 100% money back guarantee. And yes, I can show you the checks we've written to a few people, a handful over the years, for some reason or another, had some personal things in their life. They didn't see everything that they liked about the business when they went through the training. Folks, you can go through this training in less than 30 days. And by then you'll know whether this is the right business for you. If it's not, you just ask for your money back and we move on and we're friends from there, hopefully. So here's your next steps. It's real simple. The first step here, I better increase this. I made this so small, I can't even see it myself. It's tough getting older and your eyes getting smaller or something here. Okay, we have a research guide. It's a downloadable 65-page guide that has information that's not on our general website. We didn't want to overwhelm people on the website. And besides, we wanted you to make a contact with us, which you already have, obviously, is why you're here on this webinar. And we want you to get back with the person who invited you to this webinar and ask them for the research guide. Just ask for the research guide. There's also links in some of their emails that will let you download that. But a lot of information that you won't see anywhere else is on there. Well, there's a picture of some of the pages out of that guide, but that one is a very valuable guide that you should ask for. We'll give you the phone number and email address here at the last slide, but we also want you to browse our YouTube, because like I said earlier, we've done over 100 interviews with licensees who've been through our training, and you can hear me ask them questions just like I did Dr. Vicki today, and the questions that were asked during those live webinars as well. There it is, youtube.com/YABS. Again, dozens and dozens of informative videos there for you. Then, if you'd like to talk to some of the people who've been through our training and are now running their business, we have a list of people who've agreed to take calls from people like yourself who are looking into the business. We call them our licensee references. Ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. You'll see people like these are on that list that, again, are willing to answer your questions. And, they say anything they want to say, because we're not on the calls with you. So it makes it for a great, interesting way to find out from people who've actually been through the training. Let me see if I can get this. Here we go. Here's something. What does one have to do to get started? Well, I'm kind of going through that right now. And then this is the kind of support we need to be successful. I had a chance to view Miss Anderson's YouTube from 2018. She was great. Yes, thank you. That is that is Cynthia Anderson right there in that slide. You brought her up, so I thought I'd point that out. There in the upper left-hand corner. She is our lead instructor right now. Not the only person who can train, but we do keep her pretty busy because everybody loves Cynthia. Then the next step is to see a live demo of our software system. We don't have it on a CD or a DVD. It doesn't exist. It's all in the cloud. So if you want to see a demo of it, we log in with you one-on-one with just you and our demo person online to go through that system with you and show you all the advantages. You will be blown away just like the doctors are. By the way, we do those demos for your doctors as well. Again, all included in your license fee. If you find a doctor who's interested and they want to see a demo of the system, our demo people will set that up and do that. You can be on the line as well, as you can see here in this illustration. There's the doctor and his staff in the middle. You've got our demo person up in the upper left-hand corner, and the bottom right-hand corner is you and a partner or a spouse who's watching that demo as it's being done. It's just a great way to help you build your business. About half of the doctors who watch those demos sign up with us. That's right, half. I know, kind of hard to believe, isn't it? But it's that impressive. Then we have a purchase agreement that's like, I don't know, 4 pages long or something like that. And you can certainly ask that from your ABS rep and review that carefully, ask any questions you want. And if you're ready to move forward, you send the agreement in and schedule your training. That's after doing your funding, of course, for the business as well. Now, if you're having trouble putting some of the funding together, we know that's a steep fee for a lot of people. It's low for most franchises, by the way, $28,000. You won't find many franchises out there less than $30,000. Most of them are 50 and up. But if you're having trouble with that, ask your ABS rep for that too. Again, when you set up your training, you'll be setting that up with Cynthia one-on-one. She will look at her schedule. You'll look at your schedule. You'll figure out what times are available, and we'll work this around your schedule, because we know that some people are having to start this business part-time, and they just don't have daytime hours to do the training. But we'll work that in so that you get the training. Again, once you've done that, you're off and running. We'll schedule you, and you'll have full access once you get through the training to all of our licensee website, which has hundreds of training videos and documents on it as well. And we'll just get everything we can. Oh my goodness, it's 5:01. So we've wrapped it up for today. Thank you folks for being on here. We do have another webinar next week. Go to our website, and up at the top, log in and click that button that says you can attend next week's webinar. They're every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time. Again, my name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder of the company, and I thank you for being on here today. Hope to see you next week, or hopefully in one of our training classes. I'm going to leave this up here for about 30 seconds or more, and then I'll sign off. Thanks again for being here. Bye for now.